Hey guys, it's Brian with PS4 Trophies, and I'm playing Crimes and Punishments, Sherlock Holmes. And this is going to be the first case. I'm just going to do a walkthrough of this first case. It's also going to be kind of a review along the way here. I already played the first case once previously. I'm not going to do all the cases just because a lot of spoilers and such, and I don't want to kind of ruin it for a lot of the this game. It's all about exploration, kind of finding clues and whatnot, and just kind of showing it to you would just kind of defeat the purpose of you actually playing the game. All right. That was the opening credits. The Fate of Black Peter. This is the first case that we're going to do here. And this is it's a nice looking game. I feel like the controls sometimes the moving it kind of feels a little loose, but the game itself looks beautiful. Some pretty good detail in the character models. But it's really kind of all about just looking for clues. And when you're looking for clues, you kind of have to look at everything, observe them, and try to find different clues. But you'll see as we go, it's not that difficult.
Holmes.
Alright, so you just control with the left stick and go to the sofa here, take cover.
Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should help Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then.
Alright, so that's the, I guess the opening cutscene there. You press square to open up your casebook. And there's multiple tabs here. The victim here is Peter Carey. And we're going to go solve his murder, hopefully. Along the way, you can make deductions. You can be right or wrong. You don't really find out until the very end. But you tab over to the left here, you get the map, different locations you go to. Baker Street's where we're at. We're going to head to Woodman's Lee, which is the scene of the crime. And in the far left tab is the tasks page. So we need to select a suit to wear and then join Lestrade at Woodman's Lee. And additional tabs here are different documents you can find. Dialogues, all of the dialogues that you have with the various characters you can recall at any time. Souvenirs, echoes, and then there's portraits, character portraits. There's a trophy for finding completing all 27 of them. And you'll see those momentarily. It's fairly easy to do. But we need to go get a suit. And it's kind of the camera controls kind of what feels kind of loose. Go into his wardrobe here, and we're going to find ourselves a suit to wear. Go with the unbuttoned suit. That's locked, so you can't do that. A gray suit and a light suit. Let's go with the gray one. You can also change different appearances with the makeup, hats, and hair, and different glasses and whatnot. Now we're going to go to the map here in our casebook and select Woodman's Lee. This is the loading cutscene, which is kind of nice because it's interactive. You can look at your casebook while it's loading. You can make deductions as well, which we can't do at this moment. So it does help pass the time with the loading cutscenes. Alright, we're heading into the Woodman's Lee here. We're going to be spending quite a few times here.
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
So you can hold R2 and you'll run.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Alright, so we need to select dialogue here. Both of which are pretty important, but I just tend to start at the top and work my way down. You can also hit the square button there and you'll do your character portrait. And here you just use your little rectangle. Move the cursor over until you can highlight different things. Now you can forward and reverse with the L1, R1. So we're going to go ahead and look at that. There we go. When it turns light blue, that indicates you can interact with it. And through all this, Sherlock Holmes will make a kind of a character portrait, kind of have an understanding of the person. Gloves. Birdhouse. There we go. It's complete. So let's go ahead and that'll doing that will open up more conversational prompts, get you more clues. So you want to do that for everybody.
Can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Evening before the murder. Let's find out what happened then.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Let's find out when the body was found.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and, oh dear.
Did he have visitors? Let's find out.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. We lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
And everything will become easier. This is from the character portrait we did.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
And here's a QTE. Which we failed.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes, life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
Alright, so let's not screw it up so we know it's pilgrimage here.
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. Alright, now let's go down to the cabin, which is going to be the scene of the crime. And now here we got a prompt for R1. You do that, you can concentrate your attention here.
These footprints appear to be quite large.
Alright, so we go into our case book here. We have some evidence that we found. The unidentified footprints. So we need to find a pair of boots that would match them. And then you can see we do have a character portrait we completed here of Judith Carey. You can examine the garden.
The garden was well maintained.
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything.
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see.
Let's go take a look at the door here. Examine that. Hit R1 and we can see the door lock got scratches. So we can examine
These
that.
scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Now, a mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
Some pretty good detail in the character models.
What a terrible way to die.
That's pretty graphic. Alright, so we're in this room. We're going to do a lot of exploration, looking at different things. It's going to kind of feel tedious at first because there's so many different things. There's also mini games that we can do across the throughout the cases. So it's going to feel kind of tedious at first, how I felt, but it all kind of starts to come together. This is kind of one of those plot story games. You really kind of need to just kind of piece it together, pay attention. We can examine Dundee.
Dundee. Hammerfest. It's a whaling map.
All right, let's look at the shelf. Suspiciously empty place, outlined in the dust. So let's examine it.
This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book. A box or a small chest, perhaps.
Alright, so we look at our case book here, and you see outline in the dust, so we just need to kind of possibly find that. Sperm whale tooth.
The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches.
Alright, once you've completed your search on something, that'll turn green. Let's go ahead, let's look at the body. And you can see there's a lot of things you can look at here.
This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer.
Okay, these are all clues. Oops. Let's go down. C knifing and pick that up. Now you can rotate this. It's kind of three-dimensional here.
This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This wooden handle is plain and solid. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed.
No, he did not. And there's a book here. Let's pick that up.
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey. JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
Let's see, we can open it as well.
These abbreviations mean something, but what? The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense.
So probably someone pretty strong.
Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon.
Alright, that's it for the body. You see in the top right corner, there's a little icon there. A circle with those kind of the star thing. You hit triangle here. And this will enter kind of the deduction thing here. using pairs of clues. So you could take 2 clues, put them together. So say pinned to the wall with the break-in attempt. See if they kind of link, and they do not. Let's just say the notebook here, which also does not. See if the break-in attempt and notebook together. There you go. They formed a deduction. Now you do this several times throughout each of the cases, and this will allow you to come to a conclusion on who you believe the killer is in this case. So an ambush must be made tonight to see if the break-in attempt will be repeated.
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. The murder weapon was probably taken from this rack.
Let's open the chest. And you see we got some boots here, and we saw some footprints outside, so this may or may not match up with that.
Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8.
Got small feet.
Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting.
Okay, so we got ship logs here.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. The ship's log.
Alright, so that looks to be about all we can do here. We're kind of piecing this together. And I really do kind of like it. It all kind of comes together at the end. Kind of first, it does feel kind of tedious at first, but I mean, it ultimately kind of, it becomes a good case, a good murder mystery, I guess, if you will. So we can drag the boots down, see if they...
These boots don't match the footprints.
They do not, do they? Oh, you know what? I believe there was a mini-game thing in here, too. We didn't do the table. Examine the table. There we go.
Someone drank from this glass recently.
PC.
The initials PC have been crudely burned. A sailor's work.
And then you can flip, rotate this, and then you can open the flap. And then rotate it down again. You got some tobacco here.
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
Alright, so now you use the right stick to kind of rotate this. You kind of line up the things to make the picture. And then you can move the tobacco leaf here and the smoking pipe. Alright, so we need to flip this around. Move the tobacco closer. Move the smoking pipe. Pretty close.
Yes.
There we go.
This is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors.
Alright, so one more thing. There we go.
A sailor's drink. It seemed that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death.
I ain't gonna lie, but some rum sounds good right about now. Alright, so we completed the inspection of the cabin.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky
And why is that?
because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us.
Yes, we do. Alright, so I'm going to find a place here we can hide.
This looks like the perfect hiding place.
And one of our many loading scenes here. This one is not interactive, unfortunately. But we're fast forwarding in time, I'm assuming to night, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but this game is actually, believe it or not, it doesn't look like much, but when you're playing it and you're just trying to piece it all together, kind of use your mind, it's a very clever game, pretty well written. The voice acting is probably okay. The special sound effects are very good. The bird chirping here in the background, just little things like that are pretty good. Graphically, again, I think it looks great.
Shh! Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there!
And we might have our first suspect here.
All right, my fine fellow. Who are you and what are you doing here?
You're detectives, I suppose. You imagine that I'm connected with the death of Captain Carey. I assure you I'm innocent.
Innocent? And what are you doing in his cabin?
Shall I tell you? You came to retrieve what you had lost after killing Peter Carey, but we were here waiting for you.
What is your name?
John Hopley Nelligan, but I didn't...
Do you deny that you came here yesterday?
No, but yes, it's just that I couldn't...
I'm tired of this. Off we go to the yard. Tomorrow, I'll see that you're put in front of the judge.
What? But you can't! I'm not... It's a terrible mistake!
Enough. You can explain all of that to the judge. You're coming with me to the yard.
But...
In light of recent events, it seems evident that your coming here was unnecessary. All the same, I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Holmes.
You are welcome, Inspector, but please don't be too hard on our young fellow. I would like to question him tomorrow morning.
Alright, so we got our first suspect here. It's certainly not going to be that easy, Inspector. That easy, this would be a very short game. I'm going to open our case book here. Here we got to investigate. That's really it. We need to go talk to the young gentleman we just picked up here. We also did a character portrait here of Peter Carey when we were in the shed there. So there's 5 of them total in this case that you can make a portrait of. Alright, so our next step is to examine his Mr. Nelligan's belongings, which are going to be in the evidence room.
These are the suspect's belongings. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. A handkerchief with the initials JHN.
Alright, same thing here. This is not the one ring to rule them all, but it is a ring, gold ring. It has multiple inscriptions inside it here.
From R. Dawson. And partner, 1883. Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer.
Alright, so sometimes you don't know where to go next in this game. I did kind of run into that issue. There was a clue there to go to his archive that I forgot about by the time I interrogated this guy over here. But there are going to be times where you're going to feel like you don't know what you're supposed to do next, but little things like that kind of are hints of where you're supposed to go. You just got to remember them. So we're going to talk to John here. We're going to do a character portrait of him as well once we're here.
Does this notebook belong to you?
Yes. But where did you find it? I did not know... I thought I'd lost it at the hotel.
What do these abbreviations mean?
Oh, no. I beg you, I can't. If I told you, it would only make things worse.
But I will find out eventually, Mr. Nelligan.
See what he has to say about that sea knife.
The sea knife was found near Carey's body. Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, did Mr. Carey try to defend himself or to attack you with it?
I don't know. I didn't kill anyone.
Do you guys believe him?
The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
Alright, so you got a QTE here, and he said it always belonged to him. And let's go ahead and select the ring's engraving here.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner.
Yeah, he's got him there. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the character portrait. There you see the icon on the bottom indicating that you can do one. Got a shabby hat. Patch on his shoulder. This torn up little jacket here, which is apparently an expensive fabric. With elaborate buttons. Calluses on his hands. He's a working man, all right. Scars. And there's still two more things that we didn't... Got a thin neck. Again, you can skip this if you wanted to, but there's trophies for it, so I would probably not advise. There we go. Short sleeves. Jacket obviously doesn't fit him. Let's find out what we get from that intel there.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
The jacket you are wearing is made of an expensive fabric that only a man of exceptional wealth could afford. You do not seem to me to be a rich man, Mr. Nelligan. Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged to someone else, most probably your father. With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job, and it was most probably cleaning fish. You cut your hands often while working. I can tell from the scars.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Please, let me go. I'm innocent.
Okay, we got another deduction here we can do. So Peter Carey, with swift actions, was armed with his knife, but he did not have time to use it. The murderer acted quickly and instinctively. Let's kind of put those two clues together there. Experiment is required to find out whether an unskilled and untrained man can use a harpoon well enough to kill by fully piercing a body. I know damn well I probably couldn't do it.
I need to stage a reconstruction. I am sure that Watson would be happy to oblige.
Alright, so let's go see what we need to do here. Experiment. Then we also need to go to the archives. So let's go back to Baker Street, which is where our office is at, and where Watson is located. So, all right, here again, this is a loading screen. You can look at your casebook, and you can also open the deduction menu. So the notebook and break-in attempts are kind of linked together. So the break-in attempts were made in order to recover the notebook that had been lying on the pool of the victim's blood. This proved the guilt of the person who made these attempts. And as we progress in this case, more deductions will open up and we can kind of piece together who we think the murderer is. Alright, so here's some archives. So let's search for Dawson 1883 here. Rings engraving. Let's do... I don't think any of these are going to really help.
That is not the one I need. That is...
I don't think any of these are.
That is not the one I need.
There's no poison attack.
That is not the...
No.
That is not the one I need. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed.
There we go. Let's search the newspapers. Bankruptcy Act of 1883.
That is not the one I need.
Probably this one. Dawson and Nelligan are bankrupt. There we go. Okay, so looks like Joshua Nelligan was on his yacht. Disappeared, so...
Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him.
Okay, so we're gonna have to talk to Watson as well.
A spot of whaling, Watson? Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No, but we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's murder.
A reenactment, then? Is something bothering you?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why was it on the floor?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible, but if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite follow you.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man, morphologically, I mean?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before. On the Ripper case, I believe. Do you want to slit some more pigs' throats?
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a well-fed pig.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do quite nicely.
Okay, so we're gonna go fling harpoons at pigs, but before we do that, there's a dog here, Toby. There's also a trophy for interacting with Toby on all of the cases.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Brave.
Ooh, yuck. Alright, let's not look at that thing anymore. Alright, so we need to go to the test the harpoons, but before we do that, we have to get a harpoon from Woodman Lee's shed. See if we have any more deductions here. Nope. Alright, so we're back here. We'll get one of the harpoons.
That should do it. Now I am ready for the...
And now we're going to Whitechapel Butcher. And here's going to be a kind of little mini game where you got to throw harpoons at the pig.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise. Yet.
Okay.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test.
Obviously, X marks a spot. Hold X to hold your breath. And then X to throw again.
Holmes, you should try to aim better and throw as hard as you can.
Yeah, easier said than done. Hold your breath, and then the target area here to throw is a little bigger each time you do this.
The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength to pierce it straight through.
Alright, so keep doing it. Well, apparently I stink at harpooning. That's why I play video games. There we go.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
Alright, so we can make another deduction here based on the additional clues we got. So the strength of throwing the harpoon with being pinned to the wall. And now we have two deductions we can make here. It requires much strength. Two men in cooperation might be able to achieve the same result, or there's a remote possibility that an unskilled, untrained man can manage to pin them. So it doesn't really matter which one we kind of really choose right now. We need a few more clues here really to kind of piece it together. So let's go back to Scotland Yard. We need to talk to the young lad one more time. Or we need to ask him about what we found in the newspaper. Okay. See what he has to say for himself now.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
Alright, examine the ship logs. There's also a camera. See, like sometimes the camera in this kind of gets twisted around. There's the morgue down here. Kind of creepy feeling, but anyway, let's oh, we need to go to... Oops, wrong button. I believe the ship logs were at Woodman Lee, if I'm not mistaken. There we go.
1883. That's the one I need. This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn.
Alright, so
This is the crew list. Log
turn
notes
page.
for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for June. Nothing unusual. Log notes for July. Nothing special. Log notes for August. These pages have been torn away. Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, a torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign.
Okay, so we've seen the abbreviations before. We've seen that in the notebook. So we need to find the crew. Which, let's go back to Baker Street real quick. And then we're also going to go locate those abbreviations, which we'll have to go back to the notebook, which is in the evidence locker at Scotland Yard. A few things we need to do here. No more clues that we can deduce. So right now we got the young boy. I guess technically the wife, the grieving widow. You can never rule them out.
Something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who
She
were
certainly
aboard the
wasn't
Sea
strong enough.
Unicorn. We shall soon learn what happened to Nelligan's father. I have only to find them. Let us hope they're still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains quiet for now. But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him.
Well, that's convenient for us. We only have to go to the window.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list. You can read, can't you?
Big Oliver from our gang. He can, because his father is the coachman of a famous lawyer.
Fascinating. Here is the list of sailors.
Sailors? Easy. Just got to look where the rum and the red lights are.
Making me thirsty for rum again.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
Okay, so we got to go back to the station anyway, Scotland Yard. We're gonna go look at the abbreviations. And Lestrade might have some new facts about the case. Looking at the evidence, we got the bond certificate. We got the tobacco pouch still. The outline in the dust. And the well-kept garden. So obviously a capable gardener works there. You gotta love that. A cut scene or a loading scene,
Mr. Holmes,
to lead to
I'm
another
glad to
loading
see you.
scene.
As always, what happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this case will be resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well, the constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual prowling around during the night.
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with us, but we'll make him talk.
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow was writing a letter.
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room, at your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking.
Well, it's true, they were. Alright, so evidence room. We're looking at the initials on the notepad here first.
These are the suspect's belongings. I wonder if these are connected.
Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR. So we got to underline whatever we want to look at.
Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however.
Alright, so let's make another deduction here. So the missing papers is what the kid was looking for. Alright, so the break-in attempts were made in order to recover the notebook that had been lying in the pool of the victim's blood. This proves the guilt of the person who made these attempts. Or Nelligan was looking for his father's paper inside Black Peter's cabins. It explains his presence at the scene of the murder, which I think is the more likely story here. And we have the new suspect's belongings, Hurtley's belongings. So let's examine them.
The suspect's belongings.
Some more boots, which we can take back to the garden.
Boots. They're a size 9.5. The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals. A pen. Nothing unusual about it.
Alright, so we got a note we gotta remove the ink from. So let's go talk to Mr. Hurtley, shall we?
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I would like to ask you a few questions.
I've already told the police that I've nothing to say. And you're not even part of the police.
Precisely. And considering your situation, it might be wise to speak with someone who is, shall we say, rather more neutral. You are a suspect in a murder case.
I know. Inspector Lestrade told me. It's ridiculous.
Could you at least tell me who you are, and exactly what happened that you should be brought here?
My name is Liam Hurtley. That I can tell you. But you're not getting any more than that.
Well, we shall see.
Alright, let's do a character profile on him. See what Holmes can tell us about him. There we go. He's got a nice big scar on his neck. An old one. Handkerchief with a crusted tit. Plant remains on his pants. I guess it's kind of green. It's hard to see. Gardener's hands.
That's all for now.
Well, we do know that there was a well-kept garden outside the murder scene, as well as boot prints that we need to go match up, and blood stains on that piece of paper that we need, or ink that we need to try to remove. So let's go back and try to clear the ink from that piece of paper. See what that shows us. So yeah, a lot of kind of paying attention is required for this, just to know where you have to go and what you have to do. You got your case book, of course, you can always refer to it any time. But sometimes that's not exactly clear as what your next task is. So if I go there, the tasks are to investigate the murder of Peter Carey. Well, no shit. John Nelligan seems not to be a usual thief, so what is his role in it? That doesn't really tell you what your next task is. And then the third one there is Liam Hurtley is a tough one. What is he trying to hide? So it doesn't really come out and spell out what your actual task is. You just have to kind of pick that up while you're playing. Now you do have the evidence here. So you see the stained letter. That letter's seized from Hurley. It is covered almost completely in ink stains. So, and it's there's an icon above it that says perform analysis. So that's really kind of what you need to do. Here in the boots, Liam Hurtley's old boot, size 9.5. You got to find a use. So if you guys remember at the Woodman's there's the footprints. And then there's some dialogue here that we've already listened to. So we're going to go take care of the stains. Now to do that, you go to this little laboratory thing over here, analysis table.
I need to prepare a chemical agent that is capable of removing fresh ink. For this purpose, the chemicals from the flasks should be combined in a certain order to perform a chain reaction. First condition, all 7 reagents should be used. Second condition, orange reagent should be the third one in the sequence after the blue reagent. Third condition, colorless reagent should be added after the orange reagent.
Green. Blue. Since orange has to be always the third one after blue. And clear's always got to be after orange. This is another orange. And then use the clear. That should be good.
Done. Now I can proceed further.
All right, maybe got a little lucky there.
The content of this letter sheds a little light upon the mystery.
All right, so use the left stick, hold X. It would have been nice if they let us use the touchpad. I think that would have been a good use for the touchpad here, but that's just my opinion.
I did as you asked and hid them well. Interesting. How would Hurtley react to this?
What does that mean? Alright, so let's go to Woodman's Lee and take a look at those boot prints, shall we? I'm going to assume that they're going to be the right size. Since the first pair were size and a half smaller. And these are much larger, so it should be the right size. Should probably make some deductions here while we're at it. Let's go and do these footprints here first. Perfect.
These boots match the footprints exactly.
Alright, so let's go back to Scotland Yard. We're going to have to talk to Hurtley. See what he has to say about the boots. And the letter. I'm guessing his story's going to change. Let's go ahead and open the deduction while we're doing here. We got nothing. We will shortly.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation.
Okay, let's talk about Woodman's Lee.
Tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what were you doing at Woodman's Lee?
Woodman's Lee? I've never been there.
Lies. Let's see, his boots match, so that's going to be our
The second pair of boots that you had with you when you were arrested perfectly match the footprints found near the cabin where Peter Carey was murdered.
Footprints? That's your proof? How many men have boots like mine? That doesn't make me a murderer.
Now that your presence at Woodman's Lee has been proven, would you care to explain it?
I don't remember. What would I be doing there anyway?
Well, he's got a well-kept garden. But he's a gardener, because he's got gardener's hands.
Because you are the gardener at Woodman's Lee.
I'm not. How did you...
I observed your hands. They told me that you work with the earth. Small fragments of plants snagged to your trousers indicate that you were mowing very recently. But the most obvious clue presented itself in the bird embroidered on your handkerchief. A crested tit, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, you got me. Yes, I am a gardener, and I went there to get my tools.
Let's see, what did he hide? Because he hid something based on that note we removed the ink from.
So tell me, Mr. Hurtley, what did you hide?
Hide? What are you talking about?
Well, let's see. We're referring to the letter.
I did as you asked and hid them well. Should I continue?
My letter? But the ink? That's impossible.
A touch of chemistry, nothing special.
Well, you're a smart one. But it's nothing. If you want to know, I was referring to my tools. It was to do with my work, see?
I will check that, Mr. Hurtley. That's all for now. Hurtley's stories are false leads, but now I know one thing for certain. I must examine the site where the garden tools are kept at Woodman's Lee.
Okay, so back to Woodman's Lee. As you can see, there's a lot of kind of going back and forth between multiple locations here. Let's see if we got any deductions here. Nope. Oh, here we go. Forgot to hit the clues button, R1. Alright, so Hurtley's footprints kind of linked to... No, neither of them. Missing papers are not linked to either of them either. Yeah, we're getting close to the end here where we're gonna put this all together, I have a feeling. Hoping that Mrs. Carey here will tell us where the tools are at. We got some more choices here. Was Peter a smoker? Because we did find that tobacco pouch.
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
And we do believe, and we do know there is a gardener.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
Lies. Alright, let's talk about Peter's private papers.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
And let's talk about the person we do know as the gardener.
Does the name Liam Hurtley mean anything to you?
No, I don't know anyone by that name.
What is she covering up? Alright, let's garden tool, that's why we're here.
We have information that the valuable stolen papers are hidden amongst the garden tools here at Woodman's Lee. We need to find them.
Oh my. Our tools are kept inside the shed that's right behind me. Here is the key to open it.
Very suspicious. The conversation with her is, she's not telling us everything. And now we got some deductions we can make here. Quite a bit. No gardener with footprints. New thing here. Liam Hurtley's boots match the footprints at Woodman's Lee. That's proving that he is there. Judith Carey denies that he was their gardener. What else can we... Missing tin box with the missing papers. Kind of gives us a new clue here. Valuable bond certificates were kept inside the stolen tin box. Now between that and the papers, which we deduced was this. Nelligan's motive. John Nelligan could have been caught stealing the bond certificates. This might have been a motive for him to murder Peter Carey. John Nelligan is a victim of circumstance. He does not fit the portrait of the murderer either by physical or psychological description, which I personally believe is the most likely situation. I don't think these, no. Alright, so let's go to the shed. Sherlock is getting closer, though.
Let's see what could be hidden here.
So let's use our R1 ability here. See the prompt for it on the upper right. Ooh, wood planks in the floor. Ill-fitting plank. Let's examine that. We can open it, of course. Cue the dramatic music. Alright, so let's open the box. See what we find in here.
What is in this box?
Alright, what we find is a puzzle first. And for this we need to line up the lines by rotating these. To make the lines line up. Or, there we go. Take the letters.
A bundle of letters in a woman's hand with the Carey family monogram. Hurtley and Mrs. Carey were in a relationship. That is interesting.
Dun, dun, dun. Liam, my dear, you've been so good to me to tell me all the time that I've known you. Cannot describe these feelings, but I suppose that they are sinful and no good can come from them. I fear what might happen. I fear going against God. Thank you for your care, but I cannot leave the man with whom I have been bound by God. It is his divine will, and thus my husband is the cross that I must bear. He makes my life a living hell, but bruises fade, and he must not worry for me. Okay, so she was getting ready to back out of the relationship. We should probably, let's look at our character portraits here real quick. We're missing one. We haven't met the person yet, apparently. So let's go talk to her. See why she lied to me.
Madam, I am aware of your affinity with Liam Hurtley.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Well, we're talking about Hurtley's letter. No, we're not. We're talking about romantic correspondence.
Mrs. Carey, we found your letters.
My letters? I asked Liam to return them to me. I wanted to burn them.
Why did Mr. Hurtley put them inside the garden shed?
I don't know. I wanted them back, but I couldn't see him, not after what happened.
Well, here they are.
Oh, this is terrible. Terrible. Liam, how could he? After what he has done.
You believe that he killed your husband?
No, I do not know. I do not know. Leave me alone, please.
Thank you, madam. I wonder if Wiggins has managed to find any sailors.
Alright, but first, Judith Carey's confession. And Judith Carey's letter. That tells us that Liam Hurley loved Judith Carey so desperately that his jealousy could have provoked him in committing murder. Certainly a motive, but not definitely not gonna convict him on that. Alright, but that opens up with the unexplained presence here of Liam Hurtley, this boots that we found. That Liam Hurtley's relationship with Judith Carey gives him the motive for killing Peter Carey. And now, based on what we've got here, is Hurtley is guilty. So I can go ahead and well, pretty much point him as the killer. We can condemn him by pressing X. And that he'd been found guilty of the murder of Peter Carey and he must be punished by the law and all its rigor. Or we can absolve him, where he basically is going to answer the law for what he's done. But let's continue the investigation. And since those sailors... There's something here. Let's go to Baker Street. I just feel like we need a little bit more evidence here before we try to accuse Hurtley as being the murderer. All right, so Wiggins is going to he should appear here momentarily. As soon as this actually loads.
Mr. Holmes,
there we go.
Found the sailors from that list you gave us.
Well done, Wiggins. Let me see.
All right, so we have Hugh, Patton's Sailor, James, Lancaster. I read that as Jamie Lannister. Patrick Cairns, Harpooner. Rolf Talbot, sailor, John York cook, and a Pablo something another who's a harpooner, but he died a week ago. Since a harpooner is most likely our murderer, and one of these two guys died. Let's go talk to Patrick Cairns here.
This man is a harpooner, and his initials are PC, the same initials that were found on the tobacco pouch. Wiggins, could you gather some information on one of the sailors that you found? His name is Patrick Cairns.
We found Patrick Cairns.
Good job, Wiggins. Where is he?
He lives in a small furnished dump of a room, but he's always at the Sea Witch pub, where he does arm wrestles for money and drinks.
Excellent. Here is your reward. 2 guineas.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's we got another deduction here. Patrick Cairns and him not being a smoker. If the pouch belongs to Patrick, it indicates his presence at the crime scene, but it still must be proven.
If I wish to speak to Cairns without alarming him, I had better dress as a sailor.
Okay, so we gotta go back to our wardrobe in the bedroom here. So this is ultimately kind of a puzzle game, I guess, more than anything. When I first started playing it, it was kind of one of those I was kind of iffy about. But I feel like the story and the dialogue and the wanting to find a different clues kind of really start to wrapped me in, and it just kind of wrapped me in the whole thing. We got the sailor outfit, so we're gonna go talk to Patrick
now
here.
I can approach Cairns and see if he recognizes the pouch.
It does have his initials on it, but I'm sure they're common initials. Our task here: disguise yourself as a sailor and find Cairns at the Sea Witch pub. So if we go to the map, have that option here.
Hello there. Are you Cairns?
What do you want?
We've heard all about the gambling on arm wrestling here. You seem like the likely sort, and I'm up for it.
I start at 10 shillings.
Suits me.
All right, doing some arm wrestling, guys. So you got to follow his facial expressions to understand his moves, push, restrain, idle, and plan your counter strategy. So pay attention to your stamina. Stamina's in the bar on the left, on the bottom there. Press X repeatedly, and when he's pushing, I'm going to hold restrain. As you'll probably hear me tapping away. And my audio cut out. There we go.
You were lucky. I wasn't focused. Let's go again.
Alright, so
I'm
gotta
ready
do it
to
again.
try again.
Fine. If you want me to take all your money, no problem with that.
Alright, so when he's, again, facial expressions,
Well, good for you, I reckon. You're stronger than you look. Here's your 10 shillings.
I'd like to buy you a drink.
Good winner as well. That's good. Let's have a drink. You're a good type. Seems you've managed to settle down in life. You've got money, eh?
Not all that much.
Oh, well. At least you're not as poor as me.
Why do you say poor? You're not working?
I'm a harpooner. But you see, the whalers are rare. They don't pay much. So, as a result, find myself arm wrestling to pay for my drink.
okay, we make sure you gotta hit square here to do your character profile. And a gold earring. And a very ugly sweater. Strong hands. Yellow nails. And a tattoo.
A harpooner. Interesting. You've had a lot of adventures, I bet.
Of course. It's been a dozen years since I sailed. I've seen everything. Old Wallace, damn Black Peter, Great Roger. We sailed to the Cape of Good Hope.
And what about Black Peter?
Black Peter, you say? I've heard rumors about that one.
He was the worst of them all. He was a liar, and violent too, swinging those fists of his around. He was a tyrant, and not much of a captain. At least, not as good as Great Roger.
I see. Yes. I was told terrible tales about Black Peter.
But you ain't heard the worst.
Well, I bet if we get him drunk, he'll tell us more.
Tell me, and let's have another drink.
It was in 1883 that it happened. The August of that year. Peter Carey was captain of the Sea Unicorn, and I was a spare harpooner. We were coming out of the ice pack on our way home. One evening, we saw a little craft that had been blown north. There was only one man on her, and he wasn't a sailor. The crew must have thought that she had foundered, and they made for the Norwegian coast in the dinghy. I guess they all drowned. We took the man on board.
Who was he?
And who was he?
I dunno. During the crossing, he and the skipper enjoyed some long talks. His baggage was just a tin box.
That's strange enough.
Aye, even stranger. was that on the second night, he disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to him. And of course, nobody could ask Black Peter about it.
You know, don't you? I bet he does.
You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I saw the skipper tie his heels and push him over the rail in the middle of my watch on that dark night. 2 days before we sighted the Shetland lights.
Black Peter's a murderer.
Aye. Those that know him wouldn't be surprised to hear it. But all this must stay between us. All right?
Of course.
Alright, let's see if he knows anything about this pouch, so...
Back in a second. I'm off to the Kazi.
I'll be here with my drink.
We're gonna plant the pouch on him. Let's see, the pouch. Don't need to do anything. There it is.
Here it is.
Alright, let's go sit back down. I'm gonna wonder if we actually went to the bathroom.
Have you got any tobacco? We've run out of mine.
Nah, I lost my pouch. I don't know where. Wait a minute. What's this?
Oh, is this your tobacco pouch?
Well, oh, it is.
Well, I have to go now. I know a captain who's planning an expedition to Cape Cod. Captain Ahab's his name. He commanded the Pequod. He might need good harpooners. I'll tell him about you.
Maybe. If you like, aye.
I'm done here. It's time to leave.
Alright, so we got some deductions we need to start making here. So Patrick Cairns and his pouch. He's confirmed the pouch belongs to him. This means that he was at the scene of the murder and thus proves his guilt. Or it does not necessarily prove that he is the murderer. Which I guess is technically true. So with the this here, it's been confirmed that Liam Hurtley was flirting with Peter Carey's wife and even fell in love, but didn't go beyond affectionate but harmless letters and words. And Liam Hurtley loved Judith Carey so desperately that his jealousy could have provoked him into committing murder. I think it was just harmless flirting. Which leads us to the sub-clue here. Hurley's presence at Woodman's Lee on the night of the murder is explained by his affection towards Judith Carey and the fact that he worked there as a gardener. They were secret about the gardener thing because they had a little affair, so I'm going to say Hurtley's innocent. And the pouch proves he's guilty. And then he has a feat of strength because he is a harpooner. That was his job. And as you can see here, we have a totally different outcome based on my deductions here. So we can go ahead, if we want, condemn him or absolve him. And I think we should condemn him. He must be punished. So we're going to conform my moral choice here. I'm sticking with it. And this is going to take us to some cutscenes here, and then we can see if we're right or wrong. We can stick with our choices regardless if we're right or wrong. but you're not stuck to them. You can go back and make different conclusions.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Holmes, could you explain it to me?
As I informed you on our way here, Patrick Cairns is the murderer of Black Peter.
Why bring me here? Wouldn't it be better if we were out looking for him?
That would be futile, as he will be with us in approximately 12 seconds.
Oh, well, if this is your idea of humour...
No, I just heard the front door. Prepare yourself.
Good day, gentlemen. A young lad gave me a note from Captain Ahab. Am I at the right address? Is he here?
Indeed, it is the correct address. But in place of your captain, may I present to you Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard?
That means...
It means, my friend, that you are arrested for the murder of Black Peter.
What? What? A trap? You think you can take me?
Here now. We'll have none of that.
And I say that we will.
Ouch. Alright, so now we got to do a quick time event sequence with him. And to start, you just need to put the receptacle in the circle there. And then press X, obviously.
Lestrade, are you all right? Are you able to stand?
Oh, my jaw. Gore. He took me by surprise, Mr. Holmes. Otherwise, he would have seen what I'm capable of. Oh.
Yes, he was lucky.
But you got him.
It was remarkably easy. He lost his balance after he struck you.
And we got a trophy.
You practice boxing, I know. You must have hit him hard. Our fellow is knocked out.
We should call for a police cab and then take you to the hospital.
Yes, well, no need for a hospital. I would prefer to keep this between us. You know.
Of course, Inspector. The case is closed.
Alright, so this is the end of the end screen for the first crime here that we investigated. I found 16 clues. Cairns was guilty is my conclusion. Moral choice was to condemn him. You could choose another ending at this point, and you'll just go right back to right before where I made that final selection, or accept a decision. Now you can press the touchpad on the controller to check my conclusion, which is obviously going to be a spoiler. And if I'm correct in my conclusion, it'll be green. If I'm incorrect, it'll be red. And in this case, I was correct. So I'm going to accept the decision anyway. You're about to finish the case. The save files for this case will be removed. Press no if you would like to select another morale choice. Press yes if you agree with the choice you made and are ready to start the next chapter. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. The game overall I thought was pretty well done. It's definitely a kind of a puzzle murder mystery type game. It's nothing you're going to go around running and gunning. I played Destiny prior to this, so it was kind of difficult for me right off the bat to kind of make that transition from that to this. But it took a little while, but it actually turned out to be quite enjoyable. So I'm not going to show you the rest of the cases. I don't want you guys to kind of experience them on your own and have the kind of the thrill of trying to use your mind and to come up with whatever conclusion that you want to come up with. So again, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe.